Oh, here's the other one. There was 4. Hey, Zoe. Zoe. Here's another one. I just found it. Ah! All right, so there's 4. You guys can split them up if you want, or you can break them and share them too. Okay, so that was funny, and we're talking about Kit Kat flavors. But when you think about those Kit Kat flavors, right, there was, I don't even want to say for this last one, I don't know. There's truth behind what they were. Now, we could go to Japan and find out what the heck is Pray for Victory, and they'll be like, oh, it's chocolate with the slight, I don't know, whatever in it. But whatever that is, there is a truth behind the fact that it is that flavor. No matter what flavor, even if they thought it was what, mango, you guys guessed like 3 times, mango? It wasn't. It was whatever flavor that Kit Kat flavor was supposed to be, no matter how you looked at it. And that's how truth works. Truth is a foundation, okay? This is what this weekend's all about. It's about learning what the truth is, learning how that truth can set us free, because the truth is a foundation. Listen, this is the purpose, this is the point of building our lives on. Foundation of building our entire lives on are based on what we know to be true. If you go through life thinking something is true and then find out it's not true, it can be devastating, especially with the big questions in life. And even with the little ones like the flavor of a Kit Kat bar, we still don't want to be wrong, right? We still want to know the truth behind it. Even something as small as what flavor is this, we want to know what the real flavor is. I want to go research and find out what these weird Japanese flavors are to really know, okay, now I understand it's a certain flavor. In fact, they had, like I said, they had 300 different flavors that are seasonal, and they have different ones in different regions. It's actually really interesting. And if you want to know about it, you can go research it and find out the truth. So even something small, the truth matters. It's foundational. We want to know the truth about all things. There's nothing in life that we're like, oh, I don't care if it's true, I'll believe a lie. We never say that. We never want that. We always want to know what is really true because we build our lives on that thing. And that's where, when we know what is true and we build our lives on it, that's where peace, joy, comfort, and the truth of our lives gets shown through our family, through our friends, through our relationships. All those things have to be built on a foundation of truth, or it will eventually crumble, right? That's what we're going to do this week. We're going to look at some things, some of the bigger topics that we are not sure about. We're going to look and get into the bottom of them and find out what is truly true. And because when we look at these things, not only do we want to know what is true, but the truth will also set us free to build whatever else God's leading us to. Jesus told us this in John 8:34-36. He says, I tell you the truth. Everyone who sins is a slave, listen, a slave to sin. A slave is not a permanent member of his family, or a son is like a son is part of the family forever. If the Son sets you free, you are truly free. Jesus is saying, when you understand the truth about me, you're part of my family and you are truly free. Our relationship with Christ sets us free. And truth, in general, sets us free. Speaking of candy bars, when I was like 10, I had to sell candy bars for like my baseball team. You guys ever done that, right? And I remember there was these caramel candy bars, and like you break off caramel pieces, and I had to go around the neighborhood. So I'm walking around my neighborhood selling these candy bars by myself, and it was a very safe neighborhood. I didn't grow up in Santee, okay? I was walking around selling these candy bars, and I got hungry. Yes, I went behind a tree and I ate a couple of them. I got hungry. What was I supposed to do? I might not have made it home, okay? No, so I got home, and I remember that I was like so guilt-ridden because I knew that, I knew I did something wrong, but I also knew the money wasn't going to add up. My mom was going to be like, why is there not enough money? Didn't you sell this many candy bars? It doesn't add up. I knew that the truth would come out. I knew I couldn't hide it. I didn't have enough money to make up for these candy bars that I had eaten on my own, and I knew it was going to come back to get me. And so I struggled with that. For like 2 days, I was a prisoner to that guilt, to that sin. It literally had me up at night. I'm 10 years old, this is my biggest problem I've had in my life, okay? So I'm sweating. I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do. How am I going to come up with $6 to make up the difference? Like, maybe I can go rake someone's pine needles. I don't know. I was like, I don't know what to do. And finally, I just had to come clean and tell my mom, we're $6 short because I ate candy bars. And I was hungry, and I didn't know what to do. And, she didn't believe that for a second. She's like, okay, well, you're going to do some chores, and you're going to earn $6. And I did, and you know what? I felt a lot better afterwards. I actually felt really good earning that money and paying it back and making everything right, and that truth set me free. When I was able to express it to my mom and tell her what really happened, it set me free. Now, that's a small, little, basic example of a candy bar that doesn't really matter with a 10-year-old. It's not life-changing or threatening, right? But that principle is the same for all of us through life. When we believe a lie, it traps us in many different ways. Sin is an enslaver of our lives. It shackles us. We have guilt, we have problems, we hurt other people. Whatever it is, sin will always cause damage, and lies will always cause damage. But the truth sets us free. Now, that's just a small thing. But there's a much bigger lie. And what we're going to talk about tonight, the title of this one, right, is the phrase, your truth. How many of you guys have heard that phrase, your truth? Okay? Who hasn't? Raise your hand if you've never heard that. Okay, a couple. Or you're just telling me, is your truth that you've never heard it? It's a very popular phrase now. You'll hear a lot of people say, live your truth, or speak your truth, right? Or you'll hear things like, just be your true self or whatever. It's everywhere. You see it on social media. You see it in culture. In fact, there's books written about it. Live your truth, how to live your truth, how to be your true self, how to express your true self, all these things. There's seminars. This lady has a seminar. This lady, I found a bunch of them online. There's tons of teaching you how to live or to speak or to be in your truth. Oprah Winfrey, if you don't know who she is, okay, she's a person that was on TV, okay? How many of you guys don't know who she is? Raise your hand if you don't know. Okay, good. I wish I didn't. I'm jealous. Okay, so no, that's not nice. But she came out and she said in 2018, I think, she said, speaking your truth is the most powerful tool we have. This is a phrase that our culture is just grabbing onto as a way to do a lot of things. We're going to talk about this, but this idea of your truth or my truth is becoming so popular, and people are using it to excuse all kinds of lies. And that's what we're going to talk about tonight. Okay, but before we do that, we're going to do our game. We do this every year. Who's been here last year or the year before? Okay, you guys remember this subjective, objective truth? Okay, so we're going to hit this, and we're going to talk about this. If you haven't been to Truth Quest, then I guess you're going to have to catch up. You're going to catch up, but it's going to be easy. It's going to be pretty simple. There's two types of claims. These aren't necessarily, I'm not saying there's two types of truth, because some of these claims can be wrong, but there's two types of claims, okay? Subjective claims, right, and objective claims. Those are the two categories, okay? The subjective claims will say something like a personal preference or opinion. I really like this Japanese Kit Kat flavor, the matcha latte. It's my favorite, right? That's a personal preference. It comes from the person, from the subject, about themselves outwardly to the world, okay? The truth is based on an opinion or a subject, not on an object, not on the Kit Kat itself. So you could say, I think this Kit Kat is mango flavor. My truth is that this Kit Kat is mango flavor when it's actually sweet potato, okay? And that doesn't change the fact that the object, the Kit Kat, is sweet potato. It's that your personal opinion is you thought it tasted like mango. It's subjective. This is an opinion from the inside. It comes from emotion sometimes, from preference, just from personal experience, okay? And it changes. You can change your opinion on something. You can change your taste on something. A subjective truth can change. Now, on the other end, an objective claim is a universal truth from the outside world that we learn. From the object. We learn that this Kit Kat bar is a sweet potato flavor and has a creepy clown on it. I still don't know what the deal with that clown was. What was it? Talking hands? What? I don't know. But it's objectively true that that's what the Kit Kat label had, okay? Whether you think it's mango or not, there's an objective truth from the outside that we learn going in, okay? So you guys see the difference here? Objective, subjective. It's pretty easy. We're going to do a game to kind of get our heads around this. Okay, so I'm going to show you some true. Someone's already on it. Okay, so let's start. It's going to start off easy, obviously, and we're going to call subjective, we're going to call it candy, because, and then we're going to call objective insulin. By the way, if I said that candy cures diabetes, is that true? No. No. Candy makes diabetes worse, okay? You can have, but insulin, on the other hand, does objectively help diabetes, okay? So insulin versus candy. Candy is a preference, a flavor, something we like. Insulin is medicine. It does a specific job. If you take the wrong medicine, it could be detrimental. You have to know what it does because it's objectively true, okay? So, first one, California burritos are the best food. Where's Mickey at? Is Mickey in here? He's not. He's in the back. Okay. Mickey and I, we love California burritos. It's one of my favorites. There's good California burritos and there's better California burritos, but they're all pretty good, unless the fries are too soggy. That's the only time I don't really like them. But if I said California burritos are the best food, is that candy or insulin? Raise your hand if you think it's candy, if you think it's subjective. Raise your hand if you think it's insulin, objective. Okay. It is, some people are like, no, you don't understand how good California burrito is. It is technically subjective, even though I do think it's objectively amazing. Okay, so that's easy. Now, if I said there are 1,237 taco shops in San Diego, is that objective or subjective? Okay, raise your hand if you think it's subjective candy. Raise your hand if you think it's objective insulin. Okay, now, I don't even know how many taco shops are in San Diego. I totally made that number up, but it's still objective. Regardless if it's right or wrong, it's still objective. There either is or there isn't that many taco shops. It's objective truth, no matter what, when you're talking about something like that. Now, the Mayans invented the burrito in 1500 BC. Raise your hand if you think it's candy. Subjective. Objective, insulin. Okay. It's objective. Now, let me tell you something. By the way, I just Googled that real quick. I don't know, might be wrong, but that's what it said. It said the Mayans invented burritos in 1500 BC. Google does not know everything. It could be off. But it doesn't matter. Listen, this is very important, because it also has to do with the Bible and with Jesus. All historical claims are objective no matter what. They either happened or they didn't, right? You could say, I put on pants this morning, but you're wearing shorts, and be like, well, that was history, though. So it's still objective. It's objectively wrong, and you didn't, but it's still objective, one way or the other. It's either true or not. It cannot be a preference. It's history, okay? So that's really important. Star Wars is better than Harry Potter. All right. It's not for you to object. Okay, raise your hand if you like Star Wars. Harry Potter. Oh, it's about 50-50. I want to see a crossover Star Wars versus Harry Potter. It's like lightsabers and wands, you know. Wait. Have you guys seen that? There's a video about the fact that the storyline for Harry Potter is almost the same as the New Hope storyline, where an orphan boy goes off and learns magic and blah, blah, blah. It's like the same storyline almost. Of course, it is subjective. Some of you like Star Wars. Some of you like Harry Potter. Neither one of you are wrong unless it's Harry Potter. No, just kidding. Now you know where I stand. Okay, for this next one, I actually have a special guest. Where's Duke? Oh, come on, bring Duke up here. Have you guys met Duke yet? Okay. He's like, nope, I don't know where I'm going. Hey, come here, bud. If he sees me, he'll come. Come here, buddy. Come here, dude. Hey, come here. See if he'll go up the stairs. Oh, there we go, bud. Oh, can I pick you up? Oh, he's a beefcake. Oh. Okay. Here's Duke. We just got him from a bulldog rescue like 3 weeks ago. So, say hi. He hurt his paw today, though, so he's not doing great. Okay. Hey, Duke. Look, I got a picture of you. Now, I think Duke is super cute. Some people don't. That's subjective. But what if I said, well, that's because Duke's actually a cat? What if I said that? What would that be? Raise your hand if it's Candy, subjective. It's a little hard because I say I think he is, right? But raise your hand if you think it's objective. Okay, so it is objective because it doesn't matter what I think, and even though I can Photoshop ears on him, it doesn't matter. Guess what? He's still what? A dog. Yes. All right, Duke. Give it up for Duke. Thank you. Come here, bud. Thanks, baby. Also give it up for Duke's amazing handler, Kinley. Good job. All right. By the way, if you think he's ugly, you're wrong, okay? You know? Just because he has a giant underbite, all right? You know what? Not everyone has perfect teeth, okay? All right. Okay, let's get a little bit more tricky, or not tricky. This is an easy one. Earth sits on the back of a space turtle. All right, objective, or Candy, raise your hand. Insulin. You guys are getting good. Yes, it is actually objective. It's objectively wrong, but it's objective. It's objective. This is a science claim, and you know that science exclusively deals with objective, observable science. Now, science can be skewed and distorted, but real science is objective. You look, you observe, and you report what you see. And we know, because we've done measurements, we've gone to space, we've seen it, we know the Earth is not a disk on the back of a space turtle. By the way, it's also not flat or donut-shaped or pyramid-shaped. Those are all actual theories that people hold, and this turtle one is actually a theory that people hold. Mostly, it's mostly in Indian culture and some Native American cultures. They do still believe that the Earth is on the giant back of a giant space turtle. Okay, but it's a scientific claim. Okay, it's objective. It's something you can go out, listen, and measure and decide if it's true or not. It's measurable, so it's objective. All right, there are more stars than grains of sand on Earth. What do you think? First of all, how many of you guys think there's more stars? Raise your hand. Okay, this is just opinion. How many of you guys think there's more sand? I mean, there's a lot of sand. I don't know. I think science says that there's more stars, right? That's like their thing. But I don't know. They're so far apart. It just doesn't seem. I think there's more sand. But either way, it is subjective if you think there's more stars versus you think there's more sand. That's your opinion. Now, it's objective to go out and actually find out what it is. I think actually, no, that was supposed to go on the other side. I messed that one up. That's supposed to be objective. It's in the wrong side. Okay, we'll just pretend like it's over there, okay? That was a test, right? Objective. Okay, good. All right. Now we're going to get a little harder, okay? What about abortion? Is it right or wrong? Okay, raise your hand. Just subjective. Objective. Okay. That one's a little harder. It is objective. Okay, listen. This is really, really, really important. A moral claim about right or wrong is always objective. Morality cannot be subjective and come from within. Otherwise, you're just making up all your morality on your own. Now, I'm not getting into whether you believe it's good or bad or right or wrong right now in this session. The point is that it's moral and it has to be objective. Think about it. If moral claims were subjective, we could not judge anyone because that could be their truth and they could just be coming up with it on their own, so we would have no reason to ever say anything is wrong at all. You would not even be able to say mass murder is wrong if you think morality is subjective. Because for that mass murderer, maybe he says, that's my truth, is to just kill everyone. We know it's wrong. We know it has to be wrong objectively, but if you pretend morality is subjective, you lose all hope and all reason to be against anything. Abortion is either right or wrong. We may disagree on that. We may discuss that, but it is either right or wrong. There is no just opinion or feeling. It has to be one or the other. But here's what people do. Because abortion and moral questions are sensitive, right? What they do is they believe that it's about this, or they try to say it's about women's health or whatever. They say, this is what they say, I wouldn't necessarily get an abortion, but if someone else gets one, that's fine for them. It might be wrong for me, but it's right for them. My truth is that I won't do it, but they can do it if they want to. So it's wrong for me, but okay for someone else. We try, and this is what my truth tries to do, to make objective morals turn into subjective opinions. That's what they're trying to do. But then at the same time, claim objective morality when it fits their views. Ask anyone today in America if they're for or against slavery. What are they going to say? They're against it. No sarcastic comments, guys, okay? They're against it, and you all should be too, okay? Listen, it's an absolute moral atrocity to own another human being, especially to subjugate another human, right? That is wrong. But 100 years ago, 150 years ago, the majority of culture said it was right. So what happened? Did the morality itself change? No, it was always wrong. In fact, even at our worst in America and the rest of the world, by the way, everyone in the world has dealt with this issue. It's not just America. Don't ever believe that. But even at our worst, there were millions of people who were against it. And they would say, this is morally, objectively wrong to own someone. Now, the irony is today, if you said that to anyone in our culture, they would say, yeah, it's absolutely wrong. Why? Because we know that it's indecent to humans, it's disrespectful, we know all these things, we know it's wrong. They're claiming objective morality, but then with other subjects, for instance, abortion, they claim subjective morality. They change it. You see, I'm not comparing abortion to slavery. I'm saying they're both morally atrocious things that we change to be subjective so we can be okay with it. And that's what happens. Why don't they say, you could go up to them and be like, well, I would never own a slave, but someone else wants to own it. That's okay. You'd never say that, right? But that's the same logic that's used with topics like abortion. Oh, it's okay for me, not okay for me, but okay for you. You would never say that about most moral things because we know it's objectively wrong. Morals are either right or they're wrong. Even if the majority of culture accepts something and calls it right, doesn't mean it is, as some people did in this country. Romans 2:15 tells us that the truth, the right and wrong, that it's written on our hearts. That God gave us a moral compass. Now, sometimes that compass gets off, but ultimately God gave us a direction and a moral compass. So, if I said, for instance, I'm locking all the doors in here, and I'm leaving, and you're stuck in here all night, would that be morally right or morally wrong? You all objectively agree that it's more. I'm not going to do it, by the way. Don't worry. It's all of you objectively agree it's morally wrong because why? Why? Why is it morally wrong? Because I want Chick-fil-A. What if I brought you Chick-fil-A, but you still had to be locked in here all night? What if I locked you in here for a week with no food or water? Okay. Yeah. It's morally wrong. It violates your freedom. Violates your freedom. It's taking away, it's the same as slavery. If I locked you in here, that's the same. It's subjugating you to something that you didn't ask for, sign up for, or get involved in. It's morally wrong. And we would all say that. We know it's objectively wrong to take someone's freedom. That's objectively wrong. Nobody wants to be treated like that. Nobody wants morality to be subjective until they want to change something moral to fit their own personal belief. That's the only time we suddenly take truth and make it an opinion or a subjective truth. Let's look at a couple more to finish. What about Jesus? Is Jesus the Son of God? Yeah, it's definitely objective. Either he is or he isn't. Okay? Now, I say he is, just in case you wanted to know. Okay? But even if you believe he isn't, which you shouldn't, but even if you did, it's still an objective claim. Jesus claimed to be the Son of God. He was either a lunatic or he was right. One or the other. Basically, religious claims fall under the same category as historical and moral claims. They are either objectively right or objectively wrong. Either the earth is on the back of a sea turtle in space or it's not. That's a religious view that someone holds. Either Jesus is the Son of God or he's not. He is, by the way, and that's an objective claim. You have to look. You can't be subjective about, well, Jesus could work for some people but not for others. That's not something we can legitimately say. Okay, a couple more. How about the statement itself? I talked about this last year a little bit. The statement that there is no truth. Is that subjective or objective? Yes, it's objectively ridiculous. It's a self-refuting statement. If anyone says there is no truth, all you say is that true? Case closed, mic drop. That's all you have to do. Is that true? And the minute they go, well, yeah, then you go, well, then you just prove that there is truth. Now, people actually do believe this, that truth is relative and that there is no truth, and that way they can come up with different truths, and that way my truth becomes something they can use for whatever they want. That idea that there is no truth. And basically, when you say that, you're saying that I want to make up my own truth is what you're saying, because everyone knows the truth. Now, last one. Okay. All roads lead to heaven. All religions are basically the same. I'm actually going to have a workshop about this if you want to know more tomorrow. But it is an objective claim, because either it's true or it's not. By the way, you can't believe in Buddha, Muhammad, Joseph Smith, Darwin, whoever, whatever works for you, and say that they're all right because they all say contradictory statements. Religious and faith claims are always objective. Many people do this, though. They invent their own morals using their own truth to pretend, and basically what they're doing is they're pretending to be God. Oh, I can take a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and make my own religion out of it. So that's step one, understanding objective and subjective truth. You guys got it? I think most of you got it. Give yourself a round of applause. Good job. Okay. You guys did really good. Now, your truth cannot be the truth, just because of what we said. We just talked about subjective, objective, and that's why the phrase, your truth, is not actually ever the truth. I'm not saying, get this very clear, okay, this is very important. I'm not saying your opinions aren't real. I'm not saying that Zoe didn't really think that Kit Kat bar tasted like mango, even though it was talking hands, okay? I'm not saying that she didn't believe it was mango. I'm not saying that your emotions and your feelings aren't valid or real. They are real, but they're not truth. Our culture has completely messed this up. They take our feelings and our emotions and they put them on the same level as truth, and all they have to say is, well, that's my truth. No, that's your emotion, that's your opinion, that's your feelings. They are valid, but they're not truth. I'm not saying that your experiences aren't real or valuable. They are. There's a lot of value to your feelings, your experiences, what you go through, your emotions tell you. All these things are real, but they're not the truth. Okay? Those are important, but we have to put them in the real place. When my truth is used to talk about something subjective, listen, when my truth is used to talk about something completely that doesn't matter, subjective, you could say, my truth is that Pray for Victory is my favorite Kit Kat bar. You could say that. Okay? And that's not wrong because you're applying it to something subjective. But here's the thing. Nobody does that. Like, I don't say my truth is that Duke is the best dog ever. If I talked like that, you'd be like, what are you talking like that, weirdo? Don't say that, right? What I would say is like, I think Duke is the coolest dog. I like this flavor of Kit Kat bar, right? I would never say, my truth is that, your shoes are ugly. You'd be like, well, that's really mean. I would just say, I think your shoes are ugly, right? Or whatever. You wouldn't say it that way. No one goes around talking about their opinions with the words, my truth. No one's doing that. Although that's the only place it actually makes sense. Because if it's your truth, it's all feelings and opinions anyways. Now, my wife is here somewhere. Someone clapped. I don't know why. Don't clap. It's okay. Okay, you can. My wife is here, and listen. She has feelings for me. It's true. It's true. She has feelings for me. But you know what she says? You know what she says? She says, hey, I love you. Or, good job today. Or, let's go get ice cream. I don't know. She says something like that, right? What she doesn't say is, hey, honey, my truth is that I really like you, or I really love you. She doesn't, I would be like, what's wrong with you? What are you talking about? She doesn't. She just simply says, hey, this is my feeling. Feelings are good. I love that she loves me for some reason. I don't know why, but she does, and I'm going to take it. I'll take what, I'm blessed by it. She blesses me. I love that. The emotions are good, but they're not truth. If she said, you know what, Chris, you are perfect, I would be like, oh, thanks, babe, although it's totally not true. It's completely a lie. I am definitely not perfect, but I know what she says. I know what she means. By the way, she's never said that to me, ever. Probably because she's too truthful to say it. But if she did, I would understand the emotion behind it and that she's not trying to say that that is universal truth. Because I am not perfect. Not everybody loves me. That's okay. God loves me. That's all I care about. And my wife, of course, I gotta say, that could have been real bad. Thanks, Brian. But you see the difference. We don't go around saying that my truth for these things. People say my truth. Why do they say it? They say it because they want it to be true. And by calling something my truth, suddenly you can't disagree with it because it's my truth. So you can't disagree with it. So emotions, experiences, they're real. Why do people say it? They want to get away with something they know is actually not true. That's why they say it. Nothing you think or feel is absolute truth. Nothing that we come up with from within is absolute truth. Absolute truth has to come from some source outside of ourselves. The idea that you can make your own truth is actually causing huge problems in our culture. This idea of your truth is causing destruction in people's lives and our culture, and it's getting worse and worse. We have no truth in and of ourselves. This is very important to understand. Listen. Don't laugh. I don't want anyone to laugh. This is what my truth is causing, okay? There is a term called lycanthropy. It's an actual medical condition where somebody thinks they are an animal and transitioning from human to animal, or that at times, like when the moon is full, they turn into a werewolf or whatever, that kind of stuff. That has been listed as a psychiatric syndrome that involves the delusion of an affected person that can transform into or has transformed into an animal. That's the psychiatric term. This has always been understood as a mental disease and illness, okay, a disorder. But now we have what's called trans species. And what they say is, my truth is that I'm actually a lizard or a Dalmatian puppy. That is my truth. Therefore, we're not going to call it lycanthropy anymore. We're going to call it trans species. They have groups that are called other kin communities that they are a part of. And you know what the medical community is doing? They're saying, oh, you know what? Your best life is your truth, and if that makes you happy, you should do it. Trans species. They alter their bodies to try and make themselves like the animals they want to be, and they even act like it. They sleep like it. They play like an animal. They do all these things, and they're being told that it's your truth, so go ahead. There's also what's called trans age. Grown people, grown adults who really just want to be 4 years old again. And so they do. They indulge that delusion to be 4 years old. They drink out of bottles. They go in cribs. They have people take care of them. Trans age. This is an actual headline I found. Okay, listen. This is a headline for an article. It says, 65-year-old man arrested for breaking into a daycare facility to steal diapers because he identifies as a baby girl. That's a real headline. And notice in the headline, it says, because he identifies as a baby girl. It doesn't say because he suffers from lycanthropy or from a psychiatric disorder. It says because that's his truth. That's his truth. What about transracial? You guys heard of this girl? She was in the news a while. Rachel, something, I didn't write it down, because it's not important. The point is, this Caucasian white woman says that she is African American and does everything she can to pretend to be that, but it's not the truth, okay? But it's her truth, but it's not the truth. Have you ever heard of transabled? There are people who think they should have been born handicapped, even though they're completely fine, and they will cut off their limbs and legs to pretend to be handicapped. You guys, my truth is not just causing physical damage, because this physical damage is a symptom of something much worse that's from within, where they do not know how to identify themselves, and they're being told to indulge this kind of behavior. And of course, tomorrow we're going to talk about the most popular one in our culture, transgenderism. We're going to talk about that tomorrow. This is the one that you guys all know about. This is not a surprise to you. And it's also not true. But what will they say? It's what? My truth. Because they say it's my truth, they can say that they can get away with any. Listen, this is sad. Mentally handicapped, deluded people are being told by medical health professionals to indulge in these delusions. Our culture is telling you guys, especially as teenagers, to just indulge whatever feelings you have. Those are the truth. There is no real truth. Your truth is whatever you feel, and if you feel like this, if you feel like an animal, if you feel like that, just go and live your feelings. That's how you'll have success and peace. Let me tell you guys, that is a lie from the enemy. It will only bring you sadness, destruction, and destruction to others around you. It is not the truth. This is why we have to take our feelings and submit them to the actual truth instead of holding them up as the truth. Do you know that suicide is 8 times higher in the trans community, and it's 82% of transgender people have considered suicide? 82%. That means, like, if you got 10 people, 8 of them would have been considered suicide in their life. You guys, this isn't just like, oh, they want to be like a girl and they want to be like a guy. You know what? If you're more feminine, you're more masculine, DJ is going to talk about this more. That's okay. We're not talking about that. We're talking about telling them their identity is something that it's not, and it's causing major pain and suffering in our culture. And you guys are believing some of it. Some of you in this room believe it and will follow it. Don't buy that lie. Now, what should we do? We need to stand for truth, but we need to do it in love. Listen, stand for the truth, okay? First of all, that's important. I think we all know that. Never buy these lies that you can make up your own truth. Don't ever believe that. You cannot make up your own truth. You need to find the truth and let it set you free, okay? Believe that the truth comes from the outside and that you can test it, okay? Now, important thing though, do this with love. Do not make fun of these people we saw. I know that first slide I showed you, it was a little shocking. You're like, oh, you want to laugh at it. But listen, don't do that. These are people who are suffering. Don't make fun of this. Also, I would say don't focus on trying to convince people they're wrong. Because sometimes when we're so against something, if you're against this and you're like, oh, this is just wrong, we can come at people and try to beat them over the head with the answers that we think we have, and it just pushes people away. Listen, our goal is not to convince them or to beat them over the head with the truth. It's to share it, but we have to share it in love. If you know someone, listen, if you know someone struggling with something like this in any way, show them kindness. Show them compassion. Pray for them. Be their friend, but never compromise the truth. Nobody ever gets argued into the truth. They get shown the truth. That's what Jesus did. Jesus saw a woman at a well, and he said, hey, go get your husband. She goes, oh, I've had like 8 of them. And Jesus says, I know. And the one you're with right now is not even your husband. Oh, bang, man. Jesus says, look, I know. But what did he say? But I'm going to give you living water. I'm going to make it so that you can live forever by believing in me. I'm going to show you the compassion that God has for you. God loves you, even though you are living a life that's completely contrary to what God would want her to live. Listen, we have to try and be like that as much as we can. It's not our place to convince somebody they're wrong in this area. That's the Holy Spirit's job. He can do it really good. Ephesians 4:14-15 says, in Jesus we're not to be tossed to and fro, blown about on every wind of new teaching, and we will not be influenced when people try to trick us with lies so clever that they sound like the truth. Instead, we will speak the truth in love, growing in every way more and more like Christ. You notice in that verse, there's 2 things. Do not be blown around by every wind of doctrine and every idea people have. Stand for the truth. But secondly, do it in love, because that's what Christ did. And listen, let me close with this. Here's the exciting thing. We can absolutely know the truth about every aspect of life. Every area of life that matters to us, relationships, family, future, all these things, love, emotions, all these things that we struggle with and deal with, we can absolutely know the truth to those things. And that is good news. John 14:6, right? I am the way, the truth, and the life. In that verse, most of you guys know that, but that has Jesus telling us that he is all things that we need. We can know the truth. Now this should lift a huge burden off our shoulders. You don't have to make up your own truth. You don't have to struggle with, is this right or is this wrong? Should I be doing this? Should I not be doing this? You can come to the Word. You can come to Jesus and say, I want to find out the truth behind it. You can go into your Word. You can go to a leader. You can go online and even research it and find out, what does God say about this area of my life? And you can know the truth. And that is a huge weight to be lifted off of us. God gives us his word, and it gives us the truth for all things. Love, life, death, eternity, about all morals and moral choices, and about who we really are. John 8:31-32 says, Jesus said to those who believed in him, if you abide in my word, you are my disciples indeed, and you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. When you go to Jesus for all these questions about life, he will set you free with the truth, and you don't have to struggle with what the truth is. This should give us perspective to where now we want to look at Jesus, at the Bible, at the Word for all truth. Philippians 4:8, whatever things are true, meditate and focus on those things. The culture's out there telling you to have all these feelings and to do all these things, and these things are what's going to make you happy. Don't believe it for a minute. What's going to make us fulfilled? What's going to make us whole? What's going to give you identity and what's going to give you meaning is Jesus Christ. He has all the answers. The truth sets you free. My truth will make you a slave. Your truth will make you a slave. But the truth will set you free. Don't buy those lies for a minute. Now, that's our theme for the whole weekend. It comes down to this one verse, Colossians 2:8. Beware lest anyone cheat you through empty philosophy and deceit according to the traditions of men, according to the basic principles of this world, and not according to Christ. Everything you hear falls in one of those 2 categories. Either it's an idea that some person made up, or it's a principle that Christ tells us. One of those 2 things. So when we look at everything in life, we have to decide, is this something of the world or is this something Christ tells me? I love how the New Living Translation, it puts it this way. Don't let anyone capture you with empty philosophies and high-sounding nonsense that comes from human thinking and from the spiritual powers of this world, rather from Christ. I love that. Reject your truth. It's just high-sounding nonsense. It's a deceitful philosophy of men. You cannot build a foundation on nonsense. You have to build it on Christ. So I'm sorry, Oprah, but you're wrong, okay? Speaking your truth is not the most powerful tool we have. Following the truth is the most powerful tool we have. Amen? Thank you, guys. Lord, thank you for this session. Thank you that you give us the truth, that you set us free, that you give us all the things we need for life. Lord, help us to seek that. Help us not to be arrogant and think that we know the truth and that we know what's right, we know what's wrong. Lord, we know that it's you. You have all the truth because you are God himself, and you came down to love us to the point of death to prove that to us. So we thank you and we praise you and we give it all to you in your name. Amen. All right, thank you, guys. All right, listen up.